What really goes on inside the mind of a killer? Well, today we're going to try and find out. We're diving deep into one of the most famous, most disturbed minds in all of literature, the narrator from Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart. And we're not just going to retell the story. No, we are putting his psyche under the microscope to figure out what led to a horrifying murder. Let's get into it. Right from the start, the narrator is talking directly to us. He practically begs us asking this question. He knows what we're thinking, and he is dead set on proving us wrong. And really, that question is the heart of this whole thing, isn't it? Is this guy some kind of misunderstood genius, or has he just completely lost it? Let's take a look at the evidence he presents. So the narrator's first big argument for being sane, it's a weird one. He claims that whatever illness he has, it didn't make him weaker. Actually, he says it did the opposite. It made his senses razor sharp, especially his hearing. He says he can hear everything, things in heaven, things in hell, and he thinks this superpower, basically, is proof that he's totally in control, not a symptom of madness at all. Okay, this is where we have to put on our detective hats, because we're dealing with what's called an unreliable narrator. We're only getting his side of the story, right? And let's be honest, his credibility is shaky at best. So it's up to us to look at what he says and compare it to what he does. And you'll see, they don't exactly match up. All right, so the big question, why did he do it? What was the motive? And this, right here, is where his whole argument for being sane just completely unravels. He even admits it. He says he loved the old man, that the guy had never done anything to him, he didn't want his gold. So what was it? Well, according to him, it was something else. And here we have it. The motive wasn't money, it wasn't revenge, it was an eye. Yep, you heard that right. He had this totally irrational, all-consuming obsession with the old man's pale blue eye. He called it a vulture eye, an evil eye. And this is the moment, the exact point where this vague fear of his hardens into a very real, very deadly plan. It's our first major red flag that his mind is going somewhere dark. And this obsession wasn't just some weird thought he had once. Oh no. It became a nightly ritual. For a whole week, 7 nights in a row, he'd sneak into the old man's room. And get this, he wasn't there to hurt him, not yet. He was just there to perform this one creepy task. Shine a single tiny beam of light right onto that sleeping man's eye. It is just chilling. A perfect example of his methodical, horrifying compulsion.
So let me ask you, does that sound sane? I mean, the way he explains it is so calm, so logical in his own head, but the actual act, stalking someone every night for a week because you don't like their eye, that is deeply, deeply messed up. There's this giant canyon between how he sees the world and, reality. And this brings us to the biggest irony in the entire story. The narrator thinks his best proof of sanity, his trump card, is how carefully he planned everything. The precision, the caution. In his mind, that's the complete opposite of what a madman would do. He is just so proud of how smart he is. He basically dares us. You think I'm mad? A madman can't plan. He's convinced that madness is messy and impulsive. But him, no, he was cautious. He was clever. He was methodical. He really wants us to admire his technique, hoping that how he did it will make us forget about the absolute insanity of why he did it. So let's just look at this nightly ritual again. I mean, step by step. This isn't just planning. This is a deep, obsessive compulsion. Think about it. The slowness, doing the same exact thing over and over, that intense focus on one little sliver of light, these are not the signs of a sane person. This is the sign of a mind completely trapped in a frightening loop, just waiting for the right moment. Then comes the 8th night. And on this night, everything changes. All that patience, that careful ritual, it's about to explode into violence. His perfect plan is finally coming to a head. And in his eyes, the murder he's about to commit is the grand finale, the ultimate success. So what's the trigger? What finally pushes him over the edge? It's a sound. He hears the old man's heart just pounding with terror. But here's the twist. In his own super sensitive, paranoid state, he thinks other people can hear it. He thinks a neighbor is going to hear it. And that fear, the fear of getting caught, is what makes him finally act. And just look at his reaction. There's no guilt, no second thoughts, just this twisted feeling of victory and relief. He actually smiles while he's committing the murder. He's completely detached from what he's doing.
For him, this isn't a horrific act. It's just a job well done. And his proof of sanity just keeps coming. The way he describes the cover-up, it's with the same meticulous pride. He talks about the gruesome dismemberment like he's a master craftsman. He's so careful, so clean, so efficient. In his mind, this isn't monstrous. Nope. It's just more proof of how clever and careful he is. He's committed the perfect crime. He's just finished his work, feeling pretty good about himself. And then, a knock at the door. 4 o'clock in the morning. It's the police. Turns out a neighbor heard a scream. So much for the perfect crime, huh? This is it. This is the moment we see if his cool, calm, collected act is going to hold up or just completely fall apart. And this is where things get really interesting. This is the point where the narrator's own mind turns against him. The perfect little world he built for himself starts to crack, and all that guilt he pushed down, it starts bubbling up, and it comes out through the one sense he was so proud of, his hearing. At first, he's cool as a cucumber. He invites the police in, shows them around, is super charming. He even brings chairs into the old man's room for them to sit down, right on top of the crime scene. But then, he starts to hear something, a quiet, low thumping sound. He knows that sound. It's the phantom heartbeat of the old man, and it's coming from right under his feet. He tries to play it cool, you know? He talks louder, trying to cover it up, but it doesn't work. The sound just gets louder and louder. That calm confidence he had, it's starting to crack. This isn't just a faint noise anymore. It's becoming this thing in the room, and he can't get away from it. And now the paranoia really kicks into high gear. He's absolutely convinced the police can hear it too. He thinks they're just playing with him. Their smiles, they're chatting. He thinks it's all a big act. They're mocking him, enjoying his torture. It's his own guilt, of course, but he's projecting it all onto them. The sound just keeps getting louder and louder and louder. It's not a thumping anymore. It's this horrible, overwhelming noise that's just torturing him. It fills his head. All that careful planning, all that control he was so proud of, gone. It's just pure panic now. He's about to snap. And then he breaks. He just screams out the confession, pointing to the floor. Yes, I killed him. He just can't take the noise anymore. And isn't that the ultimate irony? His perfect crime wasn't foiled by brilliant police work. It was brought down by his own mind. The sound of his own guilt became so loud that it forced him to confess. So that leaves us with one last, spooky question to chew on. What exactly was the telltale heart? Was it supernatural? You know, the ghost of the old man getting his revenge? Or was it all in his head? Was it the sound of his own guilty heart beating so loud he thought it was coming from under the floorboards? Maybe the real horror of the story is that we'll never know for sure.